And what I want to talk about is something called the art of self-pleasure, which is, to me, is a completely different subject. The word masturbation, one of the most commonly understood derivations of it, is to defile or to disturb oneself with one's hand. Just like, it's a rubbish word, isn't it? Let's just get rid of it. There's nothing wrong with having a little fiddle for a stress release and going to sleep, but each and every person in this room was born with a phenomenal capacity for pleasure. And the pleasure comes through the sensory organs of our body. But we spend our lives believing that the pleasure's out there, the pleasure's in the other, the pleasure's in the shops, the pleasure's in the this, in the that. The art of self-pleasure is about bringing that back to ourselves, to our bodies, and understanding we are the source of that pleasure. And it's amazing. It's our birthright. You know, we're here, alive, with these bodies that can feel. Why do I call it an art? Because actually it takes practice. It takes learning. It takes understanding the material that we have here, that we've never been taught about. So we have to start at the beginning with the basics of that. And like all art, quite often we'll try something out and go, oh, that was a bit rubbish, throw it away. Never mind, that's not a disaster. It doesn't mean that your body doesn't work. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. You might, like an artist, go through a period where it just is really hard. You're throwing everything away. That doesn't matter. Keep coming back to your body. That's an art, it's a practice, it's something we have to continue to learn and stay with our whole lives. So the benefits of self-pleasure are numerous. And most of those, well, a lot of the benefits are very direct health benefits. And they come from the, as we bring pleasure, and I'm talking about all pleasure to our bodies, actually. As we bring pleasure to our bodies, we release endorphins. This is a massive stress reducer. It improves our immune system. It reduces inflammation in the body. It helps with pain, everything from period pains, headaches, back pain. I've known people, and I've known myself, to kind of self-pleasure my way through a cold and through flu symptoms, totally transforming that experience, like flushing everything out. It's amazing. It's amazing. But it's also a place in which we can start to learn about our bodies. So we heard in a previous talk, Louise's talk, about learning and trying new things with our lovers. And what we can tend to do when we're with another is we get really focused on them and getting it right, and are they getting it right for us, and why don't they do this and why don't they do that, or I tried this and it didn't work, it worked yesterday, why doesn't it work today? We have all this frustration. When we set time aside to actually just be exploring our own bodies, then we can start to notice. When we let go of the goal, the idea, and I'm going to come on to that a little bit, we actually have the capacity to learn and notice our bodies as they change. For women, as we change through our menstrual cycles, men as we change through our lives, whether we're tired, how we're feeling about ourselves, our work, our emotional states, actually just coming back to ourselves and noticing that. We lay ourselves open to noticing new possibilities of pleasure, which we can then take to our beloveds, if we have them. If we don't, we just keep them for ourselves, maybe tell a friend about, you know, share. It's great, they might go and try something, fantastic. But you know, we can, if we have got lovers, we can take it to our lovers and say, hey darling, here, look what I learned, try this, this is great, this is another way to pleasure my body. So the whole thing becomes sharing. The other great thing that can happen with self-pleasuring is, particularly if we've had problems learning how to have orgasms, learning to relax into our pleasure and enjoy our pleasure, or particularly for men, they quite often can get anxieties about ejaculating. They feel like that's happening too quickly. By spending time with a practice of self-pleasure, you can really, really notice all the little changes that your body goes through, so that then when you're with your partner, you've got more comprehension of what's happening in your body, so that you can alter course quicker. You can change, you can learn the techniques, what's going to bring your pleasure up, what's going to relax it down. And that's something particularly that I work with in my practice to support men. Send them off with their homework to do. They come and, write me a little essay, what happened, and together we shine the light of consciousness so that they can see what's happening for their bodies. But the most important reason to self-pleasure is because it's pleasurable. Don't forget that one. Don't forget that one, because we so often get caught up in the goal. And this is about, where's my pleasure now? And it might not include any genital touch. So I don't have a huge amount of time, but we will talk a little bit about how to go about this, because it's not about the little 5-minute fiddle to set us off to sleep at night. It's about, or it's not the thing that we just do because we don't have a proper lover, What I often advocate or advise to people to do is to put some time aside, stick it in your diary, Say, right, Tuesday afternoon, okay, I've got an afternoon off work, great, gonna go home, turn the phone off, disconnect from the outside world, make your space warm and comfortable. Often I used to say to people, have a warm bath first. It's great, relax your body. But also, actually, that might not be your thing. It might be do some yoga, it might be do some dancing. It might actually be, you've come home from work and you're quite stressed and your head's just thinking about everything. Maybe it's going to the gym on your way home from work. Maybe it's going for a run, just get out of your head into your body. Maybe it's, dancing. All sorts of things that you can do, but you're creating space within yourself. And you're creating that physical space where you're not going to be disturbed by your to-do lists and the phone ringing. Then set your frame of mind. So as I've said before, it's not about going for the goal. It's about that, sometimes I feel like it is a sort of religious experience of I'm being in communion with my body. I'm really listening to my body. And I'm going to take that time. So I can be really open-minded, and I can also be really open-hearted. So my self-pleasure actually might be just really holding myself like that. That might be the real pleasure. It might not be genital, but it might be, and it's okay. It's about listening and not demanding. Bringing different types of touch. We've already heard a little bit about that this evening. Exploring different types of touch. So some of them may be the very light and fine touch. It may also be, squeezing or massaging, getting some massage oil out. And warm massage oil is fantastic. You might spend the whole time with your feet. You might, go everywhere. Explore the whole of your body. Often people say, but I get bored. I just got bored and I got stuck. Then change it. Change what you're doing. And quite often when I get bored and I get stuck, because I do, actually the change will be, I'll get up and I'll jump up and down. I'll put some different music on. Change the rhythm. I'll give a little bit of, slaps on the body. Come on, wake up. Let's not be in this slump that we can go to, I haven't got a lover. Oh, this is boring. I don't know what I'm doing. Because we need to wake up our nervous system so we can actually listen to it and not just go to sleep. And our primary erogenous zones, which are our lips, our nipples on men and women, and the head of the penis, the glands of the penis, and the clitoris on women. These are our primary erogenous zones, and quite often we can have a tendency to go to these places really quickly, and it might feel good to start with, And we rub them and we rub them and we rub them and we rub them, you know. But quite often they don't really respond so well to that. What happens is that it sort of can just get too sharp too quickly. So what I suggest is actually just touching them a little bit and then going back to the rest of your body and keeping the rest of your body involved. It has a sort of massive effect, really. And then you can come back and just explore, do they want to be touched? Is this where you are today? Is this the kind of pleasure that's right for you? The final thing that I just want to talk about a little bit is breathing, and it could be a whole course, it could be a whole year's work in itself, really, is the power of the breath. Maybe just notice your breath right now, just notice how it enters into your body and how it leaves your body, and immediately our attention is taken inside. It's one of the most powerful tools we have to breathe in, to breathe out. And when we start to notice our breathing as we're in pleasure, we can start to play with it. As I said, it's a whole massive world in itself, but we can start to play with it. We can increase our breath, so we actually bring our energy levels up. We can take longer, slower, deeper breaths to relax ourselves. We can intend our breath to take our pleasure around different parts of our bodies. Ooh, there we go. And as we do that, you know, an entire whole world opens up, actually. So yeah, if you do nothing else this evening, I implore you, go home and self-pleasure. Thank you.